You need to move. Now! This is my spot. The girl's voice cut through the peaceful morning air like a knife. She stood there, hands on her hips, designer sunglasses pushed up on her perfectly styled hair, glaring down at the man sitting quietly on the park bench. Her yoga mat was tucked under one arm, her phone in the other hand, already recording. I'm sorry, what? The man looked up slowly. His face was weathered, lines etched deep around his eyes. He wore a simple gray hoodie and jeans, a worn backpack at his feet. His hands, calloused and scarred, held a small paper bag. Are you deaf? I said move. I come here every morning at 7, and this is where I do my meditation before my workout. You're in my spot. The early morning joggers started to slow down, sensing confrontation. A few pulled out their phones. The girl noticed and seemed to stand even taller, feeding off the attention. Miss, this is a public park. There's plenty of space. Don't miss me. Do you know who my father is? He practically owns this town. One call and I can have you removed. Actually, looking at you, I bet you don't even belong here. Are you homeless? Is that it? The man's jaw tightened slightly, but his voice remained calm. I'm just trying to enjoy the morning. Well, you're ruining mine. This bench has the perfect view of the lake for my Instagram stories, and you're literally photobombing my entire aesthetic. Do you understand how many followers I have? This is my brand. She stepped closer, her voice getting louder. People like you are exactly what's wrong with this park. The city needs to do something about the vagrant problem. It's disgusting. You probably haven't showered in days. A woman pushing a stroller stopped nearby, her face showing clear disapproval of the girl's behavior, but she didn't intervene. An elderly couple on the path shook their heads, but kept walking. Everyone could see what was happening, but no one wanted to get involved. The man took a slow breath. His hands, those scarred, steady hands, carefully folded the paper bag. Inside were breadcrumbs. Near his feet, several small birds had been gathering, but they scattered now at the raised voices. I was just feeding the birds. The birds? Oh my God, that's literally illegal. You're breaking the law right now. You know what? I'm calling the police. She pulled up her phone with dramatic flair, but her eyes kept darting to make sure others were watching, that her own phone was still recording from where she'd propped it on her yoga mat. And when they get here, I'm telling them you were harassing me, that you were saying inappropriate things. Let's see how you like spending time in jail. The man stood up slowly. He was taller than the girl had expected, his posture somehow different now, not threatening, but solid, unmovable. There was something in the way he carried himself, a bearing that spoke of discipline and strength. You don't want to do that. His voice was still quiet, but there was steel underneath now. Oh, are you threatening me now? Perfect. Everyone's watching. Everyone can see this homeless creep threatening me. But the older woman with the stroller had come closer. He didn't threaten you. I've been watching this whole thing. He was sitting there peacefully, and you started yelling at him. The girl spun around. Excuse me, whose side are you on? This doesn't concern you. It concerns anyone with basic human decency. You should be ashamed of yourself. The girl's face flushed, red. She turned back to the man, who had picked up his backpack. Yeah, that's right. Leave. Go find another park to stink up. But as the man adjusted his backpack, the zipper caught and it fell open slightly. Something tumbled out onto the ground. A folded piece of cloth. Deep blue, with white stars visible even folded. The girl's eyes widened slightly as the man bent to pick it up, and as he did, his hoodie sleeve rode up. On his forearm, clearly visible, was a tattoo. An eagle, globe, and anchor, the unmistakable symbol of the United States Marine Corps. He carefully refolded the flag that had fallen from his pack, his movements precise and respectful. The elderly couple had stopped now, the man among them straightening up, his hand moving instinctively to his chest. The girl's smirk faltered for just a second, but she recovered quickly. "Oh, so what? You were in the military? That doesn't give you special privileges. My tax dollars probably paid your salary, so technically you worked for my family." The woman with the stroller gasped audibly. That flag in his hands? That's a burial flag. That's given to families when, I don't care what it is. He still needs to move. But the man wasn't looking at her anymore. He was looking past her, to where a police cruiser had pulled up at the edge of the park. The girl's face lit up with vindication. Finally. "I actually did call them before I came over here, just in case. I told you I'd have you removed." 2 officers got out of the car, and they started walking towards the group. But something was off. They weren't rushing. They weren't approaching with caution. They were walking with purpose, but their faces showed something else. Recognition? Respect? The younger officer reached them first, and what he did next made the girl's mouth fall open. He stopped 3 feet away from the man and snapped to attention. A perfect, crisp salute. "Sir, we received a call about a disturbance." The older officer had stopped too, and he was saluting as well. The morning joggers had formed a small crowd now, everyone sensing something significant was happening, even if they didn't understand what. The man returned the salute, his movement automatic, ingrained from years of training. "At ease, officers. Just a misunderstanding." The girl found her voice, shrill now with confusion and rising panic. "Why are you saluting him? He's just some homeless guy bothering people. I'm the one who called you. I'm the victim here." The older officer finally looked at her, and his expression was pure ice. "Ma'am, do you know who you've been speaking to?" "I don't care who he is. He was in my spot, and This is Colonel James Mitchell. He served 3 tours in Afghanistan and 2 in Iraq. He led rescue operations that saved hundreds of lives. He's been awarded the Navy Cross, 2 Silver Stars, and the Purple Heart. Twice." The color drained from the girl's face. "That flag he's carrying? That belonged to his best friend, Staff Sergeant David Chen. They served together for 8 years. Chen died pulling Mitchell and 4 other Marines out of a burning vehicle. He was supposed to retire the next month. Mitchell comes here every morning, to this bench, because it faces east, and he can watch the sunrise the way they used to on base. He feeds the birds because Chen loved birds, said they were the only thing that didn't judge anyone. The park had gone completely silent. Even the birds seemed to have stopped singing. The girl's phone, still recording from the yoga mat, captured every word. "Colonel Mitchell comes here every morning at 0600. He sits on this bench for exactly 45 minutes. He never bothers anyone. He never asks for anything. He just sits, and he remembers his friend, and he tries to find a little peace." The younger officer's voice was thick with emotion now. "My brother served under Colonel Mitchell in Helmand Province. The colonel carried him 3 miles through hostile territory when he was wounded. My brother came home because of him. 27 other men came home because of him." The girl's hands were shaking. The phone nearly slipped from her fingers. I didn't know. You didn't ask. You saw someone you decided wasn't worth your time, wasn't worth basic respect, and you attacked him. You threatened to lie to police about him. You tried to ruin his life because he was sitting on a bench in a public park. The woman with the stroller spoke up. She called him homeless. She said he probably hadn't showered. She said people like him shouldn't be allowed in the park. The older officer shook his head. "Colonel Mitchell owns a home 3 blocks from here. He volunteers at the VA hospital twice a week. He mentors young veterans struggling with PTSD. He's done more for this community, for this country, than most people do in 10 lifetimes." The girl was crying now, mascara running down her face, but there was no sympathy in the eyes watching her. She'd revealed who she really was, and everyone had seen it. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean..." Mitchell finally spoke, his voice still quiet, still calm. Yes, you did. You meant every word. You just didn't expect consequences. He shouldered his backpack properly, the flag secured safely inside. Officers, there's no need for any reports. I'm heading home. Sir, if you want to press charges for harassment, false accusations, no, let it go. He started to walk away, but the girl grabbed his arm. He stopped, looked down at her hand, and she snatched it back as if burned. Please, please, don't let this get out. My followers, my brand. My father will kill me if this ruins his business. I'll do anything. I'll apologize publicly. I'll donate money. Whatever you want. Mitchell studied her for a long moment. What I want is for you to understand that every person you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Every person deserves basic dignity and respect, regardless of how they look or where they're sitting. What I want is for you to become someone who makes the world better, not worse. He glanced at her phone, still recording everything. But I don't think I'm the one you need to worry about. As he walked away, the crowd began to disperse, but the damage was done. The girl stood there, surrounded by the phones that had captured everything, realizing that her own recording had documented her ugliest moment. The woman with the stroller paused before leaving. You asked if he knew who your father was. Maybe you should have asked who he was first. Maybe you should ask yourself who you want to be. Within an hour, the videos were everywhere. Not from Mitchell, who had no social media presence, but from the dozen witnesses. The girl's own recording, automatically uploaded to her cloud, was shared by someone who had access to her account. Perhaps a friend who was tired of her behavior. Perhaps a family member who thought she needed to learn this lesson. The video went viral. Not because people enjoyed watching her humiliation, but because Mitchell's quiet dignity in the face of such disrespect resonated with millions. Veterans groups shared it. News outlets picked it up. The contrast between his restraint and her cruelty became a talking point about respect, privilege, and character. The girl's father, a prominent real estate developer, issued a statement. He was horrified by his daughter's behavior. She would be volunteering at veteran support organizations. She would be making substantial donations. She would be taking a break from social media to reflect on her actions. But the internet doesn't forget. Screenshots lived forever. Her name became synonymous with entitled behavior. Universities that had been considering her applications suddenly had concerns. Brands that had been paying her for promotions quietly ended their contracts. The carefully constructed influencer lifestyle crumbled. And every morning, at exactly 6 a.m, Colonel James, Mitchell still came to the park. He sat on the same bench. He fed the birds. He watched the sunrise. And he remembered his friend. But now, he was never alone. Other veterans started showing up, drawn by the story, wanting to pay their respects. They sat quietly, sharing the space, sharing the silence, sharing the understanding that comes from having served. A small memorial appeared near the bench. Someone had placed a plaque, unofficial but deeply meaningful. It read, "In memory of staff, Sergeant David Chen, and in honor of all who serve. This bench is for those who need a moment of peace." The girl came back once, weeks later. She didn't try to approach Mitchell. She simply left flowers at the memorial and a note. Mitchell found it after she'd gone. "I was wrong. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be better. Thank you for not destroying my life when you could have. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm working to deserve a second chance. Someone learning what honor really means." Mitchell read it, folded it carefully, and put it in his pocket. Then he scattered breadcrumbs for the birds and watched them come, fearless and free, judging no one. The park was beautiful in the morning light. It always had been. But now, it meant even more. It was a place where dignity had triumphed over cruelty, where quiet strength had overcome loud hate, where one man's simple daily ritual had reminded thousands of people what really mattered. And every sunrise brought the possibility of redemption for those willing to do the work to earn it. The girl never became the person she'd been trying to be online, the carefully curated influencer with the perfect life. Instead, she became something harder but more valuable. She became someone who understood that real respect isn't demanded, it's earned. That true strength is shown in restraint, not aggression. That every person has a story, and every story deserves to be heard before judgment is passed. Mitchell never knew the full impact of that morning. He didn't see all the videos, didn't read all the comments, didn't follow the aftermath. He just kept doing what he'd always done, living with honor, remembering his friend, finding peace in the simple act of watching birds gather for breadcrumbs as the sun painted the sky in shades of gold and pink. Because that's what heroes do. They don't seek recognition. They don't demand special treatment. They just quietly, steadily do what's right. And sometimes the world notices. And sometimes, for just a moment, that noticing reminds everyone else what they should aspire to be.